back to the internet's #1 favorite show, cause this is the BYB Insider, and I'm your host, the Big Guy. So here we go, kiddies. Weeks 3 and 4 of the BYB season, and we've had the plethora of different things happen. We've had some thrills, some chills, spills, and even a little controversy. We're not going to waste any more time. We're going to dive into week 3. Here we go. All right, kiddies, week 3, and we begin with the Cobra Kai and the Pound Town Boys. And let's start it off with the two-time defending world champion Cobra Kai side. As we dive into the box scores here, we find, as always, we have Tom Brady leading the bevy of scores, Latavius Murray, Randall Cobb with 35 points. You flip it around and the beat goes on for Jared as Rob Gronkowski led the way with a 14. Could the Pound Town Boys have an answer? Well, as we dive inside the box score here, the answer is yeah. Say hello to Steve Smith. 43, Luck and Peterson diving in as well. Great scores. You flip it around and superstar Jimmy Graham with a 21. And also the defense showed up well as the Pound Town Boys slide by and knock Jared from the ranks of the undefeated. 140 to 126.5. We're moving on. It's the Decepticon and the Guild of Calamitous Intent. Michael Evans' group looking to remain in the land of the undefeated. Could Jacob and his Decepticon gang come up with the knockout? Well, look promising here. Russell, Mark Ingram, Brandon Marshall, and Calvin Johnson led the way with great looking scores. You flip it around and now you find where the power outage happened. Money earning Vernon with goose eggs. Robbie Good with the goose egg as well. But could the Guild come up with an answer to all those scores? Say hello to Aaron. Aaron Rodgers, 44. Jeremy Macklin showing up with a 28. You flip it around and no power outage here as my nutsack hurts got onto the board, but the defensive effort led the way, and the Guild slide by with a 135.5 to a 108.5. We're moving on. It's the UPS Boys and the turn down for twats. Flip it around to the UPS side and the 2014 champions looking to continue on some winning ways here, and they were looking good as Mariota, Blount, Hopkins, and what can Brown do for you with 21 points? You flip it around and hello Greg Olson and welcome back from the cold. 33 points. Ogletree with a 15. Could the Twatters come up with an answer? And in a word, no. But Andy Dalton did come up with 34. But Marshawn went out hurt. TJ Yeldon didn't show up. And you flip it around to the backside. And, well, the mediocre scores continue with, Clinton Dix. And it leads to disaster as the UPS Boys take them 155 to 117.5. The Twatters fall from the ranks of the undefeated. And now we're moving on with the A-Team and the Let Me Kickers. One of these guys would actually get a win in the win column. We're going to start it off with the A-Team, and Josh Workman not accustomed to being in this position, and it showed because Julio was down by the schoolyard with 40 points. Cam Newton with 33. You flip it around and the hits just kept on coming with the exception of Jared Cook there. Could Charlie Wrong Way Broncos come up with an answer to Josh's throwdown? And in a word, no. But hey, Peyton and Demarius with matching 21s as well as matching uniforms. You flip it around and it didn't get any better as Vaughn Miller failed to show up. Big goose egg there. Mediocre scores all around, and the A-Teams walk off in a laugher. 154.5 to 111. Charlie Brown looks to get a win next week against the Black Angels. The A-Teams moving on with their first victory. And now we come to Muncie and Dameron. Blood Feud Part 1. Let's start it off with the Six Panthers. And Larry Dameron came to play with Matt Ryan and Le'Veon Bell. Matt Jones there with a goose egg. But when you flip it around, it really didn't matter when Travis Kelce is answering with 16 and that little punky kicker Josh Brown with a nice 13-point. Could Mark Muncy come up with a nice answer? And in a word, no. But it was kind of on the mediocre slide there at the beginning. But you flip it around to the backside and really not much was happening back here as Kyle Rudolph and not much out of the defense, and it leads to a 3-and-out disaster. They lose at 122 to 113. Dameron on the board with his first victory. Muncy sliding to 1-2. And now we're on to the game of the week presented by Pyrotech. It's Blood Feud Part 2. The Black Angels and the McConnell Mud Dogs. The Angels looking for revenge after the Mud Dogs put them out of the playoffs last year. And here comes Tommy Quick leading it out with Jamal Charles and Keenan Allen. But Big Ben found himself out for the next 6 weeks. And you flip it around though, the kids keep on coming for Tommy Quick. Eric Ebron, Mosley, and Gostkowski with great scores. Could the Black Angels answer back? And in a word, yes. Say hello to A.J. Green, Fitzgerald, and Derek Baby Levy drive the car. With big scores, you flip it around. Malcolm Jenkins and Sean Lee pace the defense, and the Angels get their revenge. 153 to 132, and Brian Baston after the game.
All I can say is, I guess Mr. Quick found himself in the crosshairs of the two-time former world champion. And maybe he just forgot something. I'm the king, buddy. And losers always bow to the king.
So after the games this week, we had a few trades go off. Pound Town and A-Team. Rashard Matthews slides over to the A-Team, and the Pound gets Jordan Reed. And the Mud Dogs and the A-Team also making a swap. You got the Decepticons and the Six Panthers swapping. Big trade here as Dez Bryant goes over to the Six Panthers. Brown and Eifert heading back to the Panthers. We're heading back to the studio and the big guy. So as we headed into week 4, everybody's still jockeying for position in the power rankings. Who's going to come away with the big W or the ugly L's? It's week 4. Here we go. All right, kiddies, we start this one out with the Kicks and the Angels, and Brian Basin had this to say before the game.
This week we face Charlie Brown and, as the big guy called him on the show, the Wrong Way Broncos. So I expect Charlie to bring a pretty good game, but off topic here, I did watch the show and I caught the big guy's comments, called me a douchebag. Well, big guy, I'm not hard to find. Bring it, buddy.
Whatever do you mean, Mr. Basin? I'm an objective journalist. Anyway, moving on, we're going to start with the Kicks. And the Kicks let it out, and it looked pretty decent here, although Peyton and Sproles lifted a little short. You flip it around to the backside, and Gary Barnage, who? With 19 points. Big score there. Could the Black Angels answer back? And in a word, yes. Say hello to Baby. Let me drive the car again with 16 points leading the way. You flip it around to the backside, and it's all Martellus Bennett. And it was enough to get the Angels over as they barely survive. 112 to 111. This just in, breaking news into the Pyrotech Studios. It would appear that some decision was made and 3 points was deducted for Derek Carr in a shocking decision from somebody up top of the scoring, and it reverses the decision of the Black Angels Let Me Kick game. The Let Me Kick boys will come away with the win, 111 to 109. I'm not for sure, sports fans, who in the world came up with that decision, but it's shocking and stunning nevertheless. Touché, douchebag. We will rejoin the highlights in progress. And we continue on with the 3-and-outs and the McConnell Bitter Dogs as we dive inside the box score. We're going to start out with Mark Muncie's 3-and-outs. And as we dive in, it looked promising for Mark in the beginning as Carson Palmer steps in. Leads the scores with Amari Cooper and T.Y. Hilton in tow. You flip it around to the back, mediocre scores coming from, once again, the tight end and the defense. Could the Bitter Dogs come and answer in an M-word? Well, it looked sort of kind of sketchy in the beginning. Flacco with only 7, and now Sean Jeffries pretty much missing the game and Tommy missing him. But thanks to Calais Campbell's 15.5 and Eric Weddle scoring down, the Mud Dogs survive and win at 93 to 87.5. We're moving on to the and our thanks to Massengill for the sponsorship of that game. Cobra Kai and the A-Team are up next, and we start off with the A-Team side. Josh Workman trying to get things going this season, having a tough time, but when Cam Newton comes up with 18 and the rest of the guys come down with those kind of scores, it makes the plotting easier as Julio wasn't down by the schoolyard and the backside didn't look any better for the A-Team. But could the two-time defending world champions come up big? And the answer is yes. For the first time this year, Pierre Garçon comes up large the backside with Corey Graham and J.J. Watt, and the Cobra Kai survive 104 to 95. The Cobra Kai's moved to 3-1, and in the hunt of it, the A-Team down to 1-3. We have the Decepticons and the Pound Town, and we started off with the Pound Town side of things. Calandros looking to get things back in order, and when you pop scores like this, it makes it easy. Blake Bortles in a fill-in role, knocking down 20 all day with 19. You flip it around, and the backside looked a little on the sketchy side other than Justin Tucker's 15, so the door was open. Could the Decepticons come and answer? Jacob comes up with a big bag of dimp. Lance Dunbar and Megatron finding the Seattle defense tough going, and you flip it around, and not much was happening on the backside, and it led to
Decepticons retreat
as the Pound Town take it 106 to 101.5. Are going for the Decepticons, and bad luck as we're moving on to the game of the week presented by Pyrotech. It is the Guild of Calamitous Intent, the last undefeated in the BYB, taking on the UPS boys, and we're going to start it off with the aforementioned UPS boys. And as we dive inside the scores here, it looked good. Marcus Mariota, no, that's Sam Bradford with 29. Todd Gurley mine with 17. You flip it around. Alex Okafor leaving it on the table, and Greg Olson pulling a disappearing act. Would it end up hurting the UPS? As we dive inside the Guild side, yeah, Aaron Forte and Danny Woodhead leading the way with Macklin with a big 26-point game, but when you flip it around, it was the defense that came up large, and the Guild remain undefeated as they take it 116.5 to 113.5. So that's going to do it for this episode of the BYB Insider. Plenty of storylines to go on as we roll into weeks 4 and 5 of the BYB season. But that's in 2 weeks as we continue to find out exactly who did reverse the decision in the Black Angels kick game, and also who's going to come away with the W and who's going to come away with the L's as we steamroll toward the grand finale and we crown a champion.
And just what is Protocol 42?